The rooster has crowed. The first ray of dawn seeped through the cracks of a wooden window, and the village was already stirring. But something was wrong. Our tiny hut, usually filled with the soft murmurs of our son Kuma's breath, felt hollow, empty. She reached out to touch him, expecting to find the warmth of his body coiled beside her. Instead, her fingers met cold flesh. A sharp breath caught in her throat. "Kuma," she whispered, her voice trembling as she shook him gently. He did not stir. She shook harder, panic clawing at her chest. "Kuma, wake up!" But Kuma would never wake again. A wail tore from her lips as she clutched his lifeless body, rocking back and forth, her tears soaking into his nightclothes. Her little boy, her only son, the one thing that made all her suffering bearable, was gone. Her cries echoed through the village, drawing neighbors to her hut. The women gasped, hands flying to their mouths in shock. Some rushed forward, trying to pry her away from the boy, but she clung to him, sobbing, refusing to let go. "Why?" she screamed. "Why did this happen to me?" No one had an answer. As the sun climbed higher, Tama remained frozen in grief, her mind slipping away from the present, falling backward, back to where it all began. She had been just a girl when life first showed her its cruel face. Born to a sickly mother and an absent father, Tama learned early that survival was a battle. At 10, she was already hawking roasted plantains by the roadside, dodging the hungry yells of merchants who didn't want a scrawny girl taking space in their markets. By 12, she had learned to go to bed hungry, to drink water when her belly ached from emptiness. When her mother's illness worsened, Tama was forced to beg at the palace gates, hoping for a few cowries or a scrap of leftover food from the royal kitchens. Some days, the palace guards took pity on her. Other days, they chased her away like a stray dog. By 16, she was alone. Her mother's death left her with nothing but a deep, unshakable sorrow. But Tama had no time to grieve. Life did not stop for the broken. She wandered from village to village, working where she could, cleaning courtyards, washing clothes, pounding yams for anyone who would pay. The world was unkind, but she had learned to endure. Then one day, she met Sam. He was a wandering hunter, lean and strong, his eyes filled with the wisdom of the forest. He had seen her sitting by the river, washing the rags she called clothes, and something in her sorrow must have moved him. He offered her food, then shelter. Tama, desperate and alone, accepted. At first, he was kind. He spoke to her gently, brought her fresh meat from his hunts, taught her how to weave traps. For the first time in her life, she felt safe. But safety, she soon learned, was an illusion. The night he struck her for the first time, she had been washing his hunting knife. A single mistake, one wrong move, and she had nicked the blade. He slapped had sent her crashing to the ground, her cheek burning, heart pounding. "Useless girl," he had muttered. She had wanted to run, but where would she go? The world outside was just as cruel, so she stayed. She endured the nights when he came home drunk, the mornings when she woke up with bruises on her arms. She endured the harsh words, the loneliness, the pain. And then Kuma came. The moment she held him in her arms, she knew she would not let him suffer as she had. For him, she found the strength to live. One rainy night, when Sam was deep in drunken sleep, she gathered what little she had, wrapped Kuma tightly against her chest, and fled into the darkness. She walked for miles, her feet raw and bleeding, her breath ragged, her arms aching from carrying her child. But she did not stop. She would never stop. Tama had fought for a new life, had carved out a small place in a quiet village where she could raise Kuma in peace. She walked, she struggled, but she was happy because she had him. And now, he was gone. The past and present collided as she clutched her son's body, rocking him as if she could bring him back. He had endured hunger, loneliness, pain, but this was unbearable. The village elders arrived as the morning sun stretched over the thatched rooftops. Their withered faces carried the weight of years, their eyes dark with sorrow as they beheld Kuma's lifeless body. Women from the village whispered among themselves, hands pressed to their chests, some weeping for Tama's loss. "It is a curse," one woman murmured. "No, it is the work of dark spirits," another insisted. But none of their words could reach Tama, who sat in the dust, still cradling her son. Her sobs now silent, her tears dried on her cheeks. The healer, an old man named Elder Ebele, stepped forward. His staff struck the ground with each slow, deliberate step. Kneeling beside Tama, he touched Kuma's forehead, then gently pried open his small mouth. His brows knitted together. He sniffed the child's lips, his expression hardening. "This is not the doing of any spirit," he said gravely. "This child was poisoned." A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. Tama's head snapped up, her heart hammering in her chest. "Poison?" Ebele nodded, his face grim. "Yes, child. The signs are faint, but they are there. A slow poison, one that does not kill immediately, but creeps through the body like a silent snake." Tama's grip on Kuma's body tightened. Her mind raced. Who would do this? Why? Kuma was just a child. The village chief, an elderly man with a beard as white as clouds, stepped forward. "Elder Ebele, what kind of poison could this be?" The healer sighed. "It is not a common one. It is subtle, meant to cause a slow death. If the child was eating or drinking as usual, then someone..." He paused, his gaze sweeping over the gathered crowd. "Someone must have given it to him." Murmurs erupted. Suspicion danced in the air like smoke from a dying fire. Tama's chest tightened with rage and fear. "Who would do this to my son?" she demanded, her voice shaking. No one answered. She thought back to the previous day. Kuma had been fine, laughing, running. He had eaten the maize porridge she made, played with other children near the river. Then, a memory struck her like a slap. Yesterday, Kuma had come home with something in his small hands, a small calabash of sweet palm milk. "Where did you get that?" she had asked. He smiled, his tiny teeth glistening. "Auntie Iyabo gave it to me. She said I'm a good boy." "Iyabo?" Tama's breath quickened. Iyabo was a widow, a woman who lived on the far side of the village. She had always been kind, or so Tama had thought, but now doubt slithered through her like a venomous serpent. Could it have been her? Tama pushed her up, her legs shaking. "Iyabo," she whispered, then louder, "Where is Iyabo?" The crowd parted slightly, eyes darting around. Someone muttered that they had seen her at the stream that morning. Others shook their heads. Then from the back of the crowd, a voice rang out. "Iyabo left the village before dawn." Tama felt as though the ground had been ripped from beneath her. Her blood turned to ice. Iyabo was gone. Her legs trembled, and she steadied herself, staring into the distance. She had lost everything once before, but this time she would not simply endure. She would find the truth. She would find Iyabo. Tama rose unsteadily, her body weak from grief, but her spirit burning with rage. "I will find her. I will find her and make her tell me what she did." The village chief sighed. "Tama, be careful. We do not know the full truth." "I will find it." Her son was dead. What else did she have to lose? Tama did not wait. She wrapped Kuma's body in the cloth, leaving it to the care of the village women, though it felt as if her heart was being ripped from her chest. Then she set off barefoot into the wild, following the only path Iyabo could have taken. The road out of the village was a narrow, winding trail, bordered by thick forest. The morning sun was climbing, but the trees cast long, hairy shadows. The silence of the wilderness was different from the silence of grief. It paused with unseen eyes, the whispers, the rustling of unseen creatures. Tama had no weapons, no food, only the fire of mother's vengeance. Hours passed. The road was empty, no signs of Iyabo. But Tama did not stop. She walked until her feet ached, until her vision blurred. Then she saw it. Footprints, faint but fresh, pressed into the damp earth, and beside them, an overturned calabash. Her breath hitched, the same kind calabash Kuma had heard. Iyabo had passed this way. Tama crouched, pressing her palm to the earth depths, as if she could pull the truth from the earth itself. The footprints continued down a narrow path leading toward the river, where traders and travelers sometimes camped. A flicker of movement. Tama stiffened. In the distance, past the trees, a woman stood by the water's edge. Her headscarf was loose, her hands trembling as she washed her face. Iyabo. Rage surged through Tama like a storm. She charged forward, her feet pounding the ground, her breath raged. "Iyabo!" The woman spun, eyes widening in terror. Tama slammed into her, grabbing her by the hand. You killed my son, she screamed. The Yabo girl, Tama, wait, I didn't. Liar! Tama's nail dug into Yabo's skin. You gave him the poison. You ran? Tell me why. Tell me why, you wicked woman. The Yabo trembled. I swear on my life I did not mean to kill Kuma. Tama's grip tightened. Then, who did? The older woman's face crumbled, tears spilling down her cheeks. Tama, it was not meant for him. It was meant for you. A word slammed into Tama like a blow. She staggered back, her world spinning. What? The Yaba fell to her knees, sobbing. I was forced, Tama. I swear it. I never wanted to hurt Kuma, nor you. They made me do it. Tama's breath came in sharp gasps. Who? She demanded. The Yabo hesitated. Then a shadow moved behind them. Before Tama could react, a sharp pain exploded at the back of her head. Darkness swallowed her whole.